Test 4 covers some miscellaneous chapters. So forgive me if I have to review down to my notes to make sure that I get these in the correct order. But what we're going to look at is we're going to look at chapters 10, 11, 12, and 13. Now, I want to make you aware that for these chapters, they're going to be the ones that double up. If you remember at the very beginning of the semester, I said we typically do a chapter a week, but there are some chapters that double up. This is where we are. So you're going to complete chapters 10 and 11 together in 1 week, and then you're going to complete chapters 12 and 13 together in the following week. So just be aware of that. It's a little bit more work, but it saves you, combining that due date saves you from having a due date on an extra day later on in the week. So we just went ahead and combined them to both be due on the same day to keep from dragging it out a little bit further. So chapter 10, what you're going to be looking at chapter 10, that's going to be your nutrition and fitness chapter. For some of you all, that's going to be like the chapter that you really want to see. But what we're going to be looking at is how the body uses energy. And we're going to look a little bit at metabolism, so don't let that scare you too much, but we're going to look at the breakdown of glucose in the body, and we're going to look at the anaerobic breakdown versus the aerobic breakdown, the differences in that. Obviously, anaerobic, you're not going to have oxygen. Aerobic, you're going to have oxygen, but we're going to look at how for anaerobic, it's going to be quick, but it's not going to be able to sustain it for very long. For your aerobic breakdown of glucose, it's going to take a little bit longer, but you're going to get much more energy out of that. So less energy with anaerobic, but you're going to get it quicker. And then for aerobic breakdown of glucose, it's going to take a little bit longer because there are many more steps, because you have glycolysis and then the Krebs or TCA cycle and electron transport. So it's going to take longer, but you are going to get more energy out of it because that glucose is going to be more completely broken down. And what we're also going to look at is we're going to look at what types of activities does your body use different types of energy. So not only like exercise activities, but time limits, the intensity of the exercise. We're going to look at what your body is going to be breaking down at different points during activity. And so there's going to be for chapter 10, you're going to have a set of essay questions, and you're going to have a discussion assignment. And for chapter 11, that chapter is going to cover eating disorders and disorder eating. We're mostly going to focus on anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, binge eating disorder. So those are going to be the main things that we're going to look at. And we're just going to look at characteristics of those eating disorders. Some characteristics that not just of the activity of the disorders, but of people who tend to struggle with those. And so that's going to be chapter 11. You're going to have essay questions and a discussion post for that. For chapter 12, that is going to be looking at protecting our food supply. That's going to be our kind of our foodborne illness chapter. We're going to look at foodborne illnesses. We're going to look at a little bit about allergies, but foodborne illness, we're going to be looking at bacteria and viral means of food contamination, how the ways that we try to prevent that. So we're going to look at preservation methods of foods, and we're going to look at different types of foodborne illnesses, characteristics of those, foods that are typically implicated in those outbreaks, and how they can be prevented. And then chapter 13, we're going to, I apologize. For chapter 12, you're going to have a quiz, and you're going to have a discussion post. And then for chapter 13, we're going to look at global nutrition. And so we're going to look at just the concepts of undernutrition, malnutrition, overnutrition. And we're going to look at some of that in the United States and some programs that the United States has in place to try to help prevent those things, and some guardrails that we've tried to put up in the United States, and how some of those have worked, and maybe some things that can be improved upon. And then we're also going to really focus on global nutrition and nutrition in the developing world. So we're going to look at what's happening in countries that don't have the resources of the United States, that don't have the agriculture that we have, that countries that are dealing with war and political unrest, and and so how those affect the nutrition status of the citizens of those countries. We're also going to look at biotechnology and how that kind of ties in with this, and how it's looked at that can be a bridge um, to help supply food, especially to these developing countries. So that's what we're going to look at in chapter 13. And for chapter 13, I'm going to have essay questions, and that's going to be the last chapter before test 4. So if you recall, as we keep going on our pattern, that you're going to have the larger discussion assignment that's going to be due on the discussion board, and then you're going to have your test 4. And again, test 4 is going to be chapters 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's going to be your nutrition and fitness, your eating disorders, you're protecting the food supply, and your global nutrition. So those are going to be the chapters that are going to be covered on that test. So if you have any questions, please let me know.